Your brand name is so famous, I thought that
it was a name, just a brand name.
Yeah.
Now that's very good, you see?
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
There's still somebody existing with the name.
Correct.
I'll show you now. And right now, to my knowledge, on the planet, there are two companies who've created frames based on their data. One is a company, a UK company called Reeve Optical, and they've created a range which is based on Alicia Thompson's data, and Stepper. And I would go so far as to say, with all arrogance that you would expect from me, that the only frames that are made to fit children have to be based on her data, and everything else is not fit for purpose. It's good. This is what we do. This is what we do. I'm so glad you stopped.
We have Mr. Hen Stepper and Mr. Peter here, who will be sharing journey of Stepper as a brand. And really nice meeting you, sir. We want to know that from where you started, what was your inspiration, and how it has grown up over the period of time.
Well, firstly, I'm a rather old man, as you know, but but apart from that, yes, I started as optician. I'm master optician in Germany.
Germany?
In Germany, yeah, of course. And after having worked as optician, I had the idea to make frames that fit, because in that time, in many occasions, we didn't find frames that were comfortable, lightweight, and pleasing the customers for long term. And that was the idea.
And in which year you started?
Which year? The production I started in 1970. 1970.
Okay.
And so it went on.
And from where you got this name Stepper?
It is my name. It's his name.
That's a surname is also. Sorry.
Family name. I'm Hans Stepper. I'm Hans Stepper. Yes.
Okay. Actually, your brand name is so famous. I thought that
it was a name, just a brand name.
Yeah.
Now that's very good. You see, that's the difference.
Yeah.
There's still somebody existing with the name.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So I think your friend will.
Yes, I think certainly I will.
Certainly. Well, it was, as Hans said, it was born out of a frustration that he could not find frames that actually fitted the human face. So his idea was to create frames that fit a face and has all the characteristics of the human face. But to do that, you have to understand what a face looks like. So the critical measurements are things like the crest height on the bridge here, the angle of display angle of the nose, this apical radius of here, temple width and head width, and all of those length to bend and all of those things. And in order to create a frame that fits a three-dimensional face, it's important then to create a frame in 3 dimensions. So in 1970, this was a time when everybody else was making frames from flat acetate, and injection molding was reserved for very, very cheap mass production frames or very cheap sunglasses. So when he said, I want to be in injection molding, everybody said, you are mad, don't be silly. And the principal idea is that with acetate, it starts as a flat sheet and then it's heated and bent. So you do a lot of cutting out, then it's heated and bent into shape. And what happens over time is it returns to its natural state. So they have to go back to the optician to have it readjusted. So that didn't work. So injection molding means that it comes out of the mold with the three-dimensional curve in place and the correct bridge profile for the type of face we're making a frame for. And it is crazy to me that most frames in the world are not made to fit. Right. They're made because they have the correct badge, they're a lovely color, or they're sexy or trendy or whatever it is. But actually, as a medical device, and that's our positioning. Our positioning is that a frame is a medical device whose only job is to make sure that the lenses sit correctly in front of the eyes. And as a professional optician, they want to give their customer, their consumer, their patient, the best best possible visible, not visible, sorry, the best possible visual outcome that they can achieve. And if the frame is slipping down, or it's ugly, or it's heavy, or it's too uncomfortable, then there's a problem.
Correct.
So that's why we say Stepper Eyewear, the perfect fit, and we position it as a medical device, as part of a medical solution. And that just follows through, since 1970, that's followed through everything we've done.
It's a nice way of positioning the brand. It's like medical.
Absolutely, and it's not a made-up marketing piece of nonsense. It's genuinely, we start with every frame we design, we start with the bridge and we build the frame out. It has to fit. So we then extended that concept into the idea of what we're calling world fit, which is just an umbrella term to describe how geographically or characteristically our designs fall into three segments. So there's European fit, African fit, and Asian fit. So that's just a broad way of thinking about who we're designing for. Now, that does not mean that you have to be ethnically African, Asian, or European. That doesn't matter. What matters is, what are your characteristics, and can you find a frame that fits your face? And so by having a different design starting point, because all of those measurements are different according to the shape of the characteristics, and we've extended that into the very important area of pediatric eyewear, children's frames, and that's a whole other story.
You have started recently, that
we started. The current collection is about 1 year old, and there's a woman, an optician in the UK, who did a 7-year part-time doctoral thesis. She now has a PhD, and it's a similar story to Stepper, really. She was specialising in children's eyewear, eye care. She's her name's Dr Alicia Thompson. She's the head of clinic. She's director of clinical and professional studies and education at the Association of British Dispensing Opticians, and she was working with children but could not find frames that fitted properly, because essentially a child's frame is an adult's frame made smaller.
Right.
But all the basic measurements, crest height, the radius, apical radius, they're all for adults. And that's not what a child's face is. So her story, briefly, is she went back to look for the research data that said, this is how you must make a frame for a child, to find there was no data. Nobody had ever done a study on the developing child's face. So she did. And out of the body of data that she studied and created, out of a very complicated process where she measured 1,300 faces on a medical device, which took an instant picture of 190 degrees. She then overlaid all the characteristic important measurements, apical radius, crest, all the important measurements with an algorithm, and produced a very comprehensive body of data that she's made available to the world, in the hope that frame companies will make frames. So I took our existing then children's frames to show her, because I know her, and she said, look, they're very nice. You know they're all wrong, don't you? So we scrapped all of that, and we started again with a collection that I'll show you in a minute. I'll show you now.
But
so this is the collection we call Stepper Start.
Oh, nice name.
Nice name. Originally we called it Stepper Kids, but
I think that's better.
But as we're expanding into older frames, Stepper Start is better. So this tells you a little bit about the background of the story, and how it works, and the research data. The important part is this goes back to what I was telling you about, how the important characteristics, so the plane angle, the bridge, the crest height, the temple width, the head width, and the pan to static. Depending on which category you're making a frame for, how those change. Because so many people, if they're making, for example, an Asian fit frame, they'll take a standard European fit frame and they'll put pads on it and call it Asian fit. Well, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. So that's one for 0 to 2. And look at there's nothing there. So what we have here is a collection of frames that have a range of adjustability for the side. So we'll pop out the little plug and the optician can change it. It comes with the bridge in place, and all of the measurements are to fit that stage of development. Now, as the child gets older, and you move up to, say, an older child, you're now starting to narrow the frame. So what we offer, and this is the original collection, we've now expanded it. We've added models this way, and we're also going for larger frames, which are over there. I haven't seen them yet; they're so new. And this comes with a. Let me just get the kit. So the collection of frames comes with this support kit. Now, it's not a service kit. The alternate bridges at the top. According to the age, and age is a bit misleading. We do that because it's convenient to think about how we interpret the data. But actually, the important thing is, because it's a medical device, the professional should assess the person in front of them, take the measurements, and then find the most appropriate frame. You don't just say, oh, you're 8, you can't wear a 6-year-old frame, because that's nonsense. You must take the professional measurement. So those alternate bridges are for, we've taken the data from the study, and we've created the frames by taking the 50th percentile average data and made a frame. And it all fits beautifully with our whole ethos anyway, which is it's a medical device that has to fit a face to do the job. Otherwise, the lenses don't work. And that's particularly critical, we think, with the advent of the myopia control lenses, Hoya MyoSmart, Essilor Stellest, Zeiss MyoCare, and there are many others. The fitting is absolutely critical. And if there's now studies that show, first of all, you have to have that tiny little bit of perfect vision there. So if a child's wearing a bad frame that does that, they're looking through the wrong part of the lens. And now there's data to say that it's not just not working, but it's actually speeding up the rate of myopic progression. So it's not just doing no good, it's potentially doing harm. And there is no point in spending $300 on a fantastic pair of lenses if you put them in a frame that doesn't fit. And there's a whole other social aspect to it as well. And right now, to my knowledge, on the planet, there are 2 companies who've created frames based on her data. One is a company, a UK company called Millmead Optical, and they've created a range which is based on Alicia Thompson's data. And Stepper, nobody else has done it. And I would go so far as to say, with all arrogance that you would expect from me, that if the only frames that are made to fit children have to be based on her data, and everything else is not fit for purpose. And they should not be dispensing children with badly fitting frames. In my opinion.
Nice. You are a great storyteller.
Very nice to talk to you.
Serious.